The 7 important items that lumber yards, big box stores, and home centers won't tell you about composite decking. Number 1, a composite deck is as easy to estimate and build as a wood deck. This is not correct. We have deck builders with 20 years experience that can't get the stock list accurate on the first try. There is no way that a sales associate that sells roofing and siding 1 minute, 2x4s and plywood the next minute can be an experienced decking consultant in the next minute. That's why you need to work with a retailer that quotes decking every day. There are many variables to consider. Most inexperienced lumberyard people giving quotes say that there's 2 linear feet of decking per square foot. They're already starting off wrong. Actually, there's 2.1 linear feet to a square foot. That multiplier will get you closer. If you have a 16 by 20 foot deck with no picture frame to mask the groove boards, that will work. A quick note about picture frame around your deck. Not only does a deck with a picture frame look much better by masking the outside of the groove boards, it protects the deck from water and dirt getting behind the fascia board. Most composite decks will have a picture frame. Now the 2.1 multiplier won't work. If your deck is more complicated, for instance, angles, barbecue areas, going around a pool or an addition, or even stairs will change the amount of decking used. An experienced decking consultant will take the time to calculate each piece of decking and railing. If a deck design changes just a few inches one way or another, it will affect the estimate. A decking-only supplier like No Maintenance Decks will get your stock list to within a few percent one way or another, whereas a lumberyard, big box store, or home center may get you to within 10 to 15% of the actual stock list. Some will say that's close enough, but when you calculate the cost of labor and trucking, the closer the better is worth the extra effort to get it close the first time. Number 2, what's the best decking? When you ask a salesperson at a lumberyard, big box store, or home center what is the best decking, they're going to tell you the brand that they carry is the best, and they expect you to believe it. I say it's not what I think the best decking is, it's what you think the best decking is for you and your family. Most retailers that sell decks will have one brand, and of course they'll say it's the best. I get this question all the time, and the answers aren't as easy as the question sounds. A salesperson should ask you questions about how you're going to use your deck. Is the deck in the front of the house or the back? Is it on the bulkhead or around the pool? How much traffic will it see? Some people think that the prettiest decking is the best. Some people feel that the most durable decking is the best. Some may want a balance of both looks and durability. Some people feel that the least expensive or the most expensive decking is the best. Some brands have different characteristics at different price points. For instance, in the over $6 a foot price range, my favorite decking at this and any price is the AZEK Vintage Collection decking. I think it's the nicest decking available. It has the most wood-like look, although it's not very durable, and I'm fine with that. In the $5 a linear foot price range, Trex Transcend is unquestionably the most durable and the most popular decking by far. In the $4 a linear foot price range, Trex Select, Trex Enhance, TimberTech Edge, and Fibron Good Life all have great looking, durable decking in this price range. In the under $3 a foot price range, Trex and Fibron have decking that will go up against pressure treated and cedar decking pricing without the maintenance. Personally, I feel that the AZEK Vintage decking is the nicest decking, and I'll pay the $6.50 to $7 a linear foot for it. But that doesn't mean that because I like it, you should like it. At No Maintenance Decks, we have plenty of displays set up that clearly show the value proposition between the brands. One of our customers was very quick to point out that Trex Enhance Naturals deck with a Trex Select railing looks very similar to an equally appointed AZEK deck at half the cost. Their thought process is correct, and I can't argue with their logic. They feel that they will get better value with the less expensive decking and railing. One customer told me that she loved the AZEK decking, so she happily paid the price. The rails were a different story. Her AZEK rail package was $3,500 more than the Trex rail package. She said that the AZEK rail is beautiful, but she doesn't see the value in the price difference. So she bought the Trex rail and spent the $3,500 on furniture for her deck. She understood the differences in the line and made this best decision for her and her family. On Long Island, we have a very large building supply company with close to 20 stores that I have a lot of respect for that only has AZEK TimberTech. They said that Trex isn't any good. Buy AZEK. This company isn't interested in helping their customers find the best value. No Maintenance Decks sells more Trex in one location than this very large company sells AZEK TimberTech in 20 locations. It's easy to see what the most popular brand is. Here's a brief comparison between the brands. Trex. Trex appeals to the largest customer base due to their offering and moderate pricing, along with a wide range of products. Trex has the lowest failure rate in the industry, and if you have an warranty issue, it gets addressed very quickly. The Trex rails have unparalleled design flexibility. They don't fade and look great. AZEK TimberTech. AZEK is aiming at the higher end of the category. The AZEK and vintage collections are very beautiful with higher pricing. The capped composite line has a failure rate that is at least 10 times that of Trex. So if you have a warranty, you would rather have a root canal without Novocaine. Their lower cost products are nice, but always more expensive than Trex and Fibron. AZEK can't make a colored rail that doesn't fade, although they will tell you that they can. Unfortunately, I know that it does fade. Someday they will figure it out, but I won't believe it until I see it. Fibron. Fibron tries to fill holes in the market where they see fit. The decking is very good and in price comparable to Trex. To their credit, they see that the decking is trending to lighter colors. They are nimble enough that they can pivot production to fill needs. Definitely look at their line because they have some unique colors. A decking retailer should listen to what the customer wants out of a deck and suggest a good fit, and not make suggestions based on how much money the sale will bring into the retailer. At No Maintenance Decks, we know that customers want to receive value in their purchase, and pushing one brand because they only carry one brand is not giving them value or very good customer service. We carry the major brands: Trex, Fibron, AZEK, and TimberTech. We'll give you the best information that we have and let you decide what's best for you and your family. Number 3, composite decking expands and contracts very slightly, so you don't need to consider it. All composite decking expands and contracts with temperature fluctuations, and different brands expand and contract differently. Expansion and contraction with temperature is a function of the density of the product. Soft wood or less dense wood like pressure-treated lumber and cedar are not very dense, but hardwoods like Ipe are very dense and will expand and contract more. Trex is less dense and will move slightly. TimberTech has a greater density. It's a little stiffer than Trex and will expand and contract more. PVC decking is very different and will expand and contract more than capped composite decking. I'm sure you're asking, why is this important? In the old days of wood decking, when you would build a deck that's longer than the decking lengths are available in, a deck builder will stagger the joints. If he's building a 32-foot deck, that means they will use a butt joint between a 20 and a 12. And on the next row, they'd put a 12 and a 20, and then go back to it the other way and have a 20 and a 12 to make 32 feet. Now, that will work, but it will come out much better if you use a feature board in the center with a 16-foot deck on each side. This will cut the visible and expansion and contraction by 50% by having half on each side of the feature board. I mentioned PVC decking is more susceptible to expansion and contraction. With PVC decking, you must consider this even more. All groove decking should be attached to the deck with the proper fastener as described in the install guide for each brand. With PVC decking, how you attach the non-groove board is important. A 20-foot non-groove or square edge decking should at minimum use stainless steel screws for the last 3 joists on each end of the deck board. If you're using an epoxy coated screw, when the decking gets cold, the decking will snap the screws at the end. Stainless steel is more malleable than coated steel, so it will give a little when it gets cold and not snap as easy. Number 4, a pressure treated frame will last forever. No, it doesn't. In 2004, the EPA, or the Environmental Protection Agency, banned the use of copper, chromium, arsenic, or CCA in pressure-treated wood for residential use and replaced it with ACQ, which will never last as long as the old ACQ. This is a very touchy area with customers. We can tell that to them when they want to replace the decking on a 25-year-old frame, but we find that it's better to let them know that the new decking will outlast the old frame. The frame may have to be worked on or even replaced within 10 to 15 years. In many cases, the wood still looks good, but the hardware that holds the deck together is corroded or the footings are substandard. One thing to remember, joist hangers, hurricane ties, and post supports do not have a set time for their warranty. This hardware can go anywhere from 5 to 50 years depending upon how often the hardware gets wet or if salt water hits it. Decks within a quarter of a mile of the highway will also experience accelerated corrosion due to the de-icing agents applied to the road. Oftentimes, when the decking is taken off, the frame isn't as good as they thought it was and will be needed to be replaced anyway. The frame is the least expensive part of the deck, but it's also the most important for safety, and it should be checked to see if it needs to be replaced. The grade of the wood and the mill that is purchased from is also important. Number one, ground contacted, pressure-treated lumber will stay straighter much longer than even a number 2 or a number 3 pressure-treated lumber. Railing is sold in running feet. Railing is sold in 6, 8, and sometimes 10-foot sections. If you have a 20-foot section that needs a rail, you should never put 2 6-foot and 1 8-foot section to make 20 feet. A homeowner can do this to save money, but a professional deck builder will never do this because they know they're going to hear it from the customer when they see the rails lengths are not the same. Railing should be equal lengths on each section of the rail, either 2 10-foot sections if available or 3 8-foot sections cut at equal lengths. Cost is another variable to consider. Railings are tested in many ways to include how much it bends in the center. Rails may pass the strength test at 6 and 8 feet, but not at the 10 feet. So in this case, a piece of aluminum will be added to the top rail to stiffen it adequately enough to pass the test. The aluminum will raise the price. Sometimes 2 6-foot rail sections plus the cost of a post is less than 1 12-foot rail section. Another common mistake is not giving the customer the longer post at the bottom of the stairs. The building code for stairs is 34 to 36 inches measured perpendicular from the nose of the stair. The residential code for child-proof guardrails on a deck above 30 inches above the ground is 36 inches above the decking. Most railing companies sell a 39-inch post for the deck. You will need a 42-inch post at the bottom and intermediate posts on the stairs. Rail heights for child-proof rails are changing. In New York City, it's 42 inches. We're starting to see the 42-inch requirement more in our area. Hardware and proper footings are not that important. The hardware and footings are the single most important part of the deck for safety. In section 4, I said that the frame is the least expensive part of the deck, and the hardware is even less expensive. Proper joist hangers, post supports, correct footings, hurricane ties, and even the nail is very important. Lumberyards will sell a carpenter sheetrock screws for the deck hardware. This is very wrong. We know that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Using a sheetrock screw for joist hangers can be very dangerous to the people on the deck in a few years. Proper footings and correct attachments are very important if you want the deck to last as long as the decking will. Number 7, composite decking. Is it hot? When the temperature outside is hot, everything is hot. But how hot? I've been looking at this problem for over 20 years, and here are some of my observations. When it's 85 degrees, you can walk on any colored decking barefoot without a problem. But when it's 95 degrees and with clear direct sun, all decking is hot. Most 12-year-olds know that lighter colors reflect heat from the sun while darker colors absorb heat from the sun. In the Northeast, we may only get a few weeks of 95 degrees a season. When it's 95 degrees, most people will seek shade or air conditioning and not be sitting on their deck in direct sunlight. I've spent many hours documenting results with a handheld infrared thermometer with interesting results. For the most part, there's only about a 10-degree difference between the darkest and the lightest colors, which isn't a lot. Personally, I feel that the homeowner should pick the color that they like, and if the color is a dark color they choose, then wear some sort of foot covering when it's very hot. I'm very quick to point out that my previous statement doesn't hold true in the case of swimming pools and pets. I love all animals, especially dogs, and a dark colored decking on a 95-degree day can be very uncomfortable on their paws. Watching kids play in and around a swimming pool is a lot of fun, and once the deck gets wet, it's better on the feet. If you feel that the temperature of the deck is important, TimberTech whitewashed cedar decking is about 25 degrees less than a dark colored decking. There's a report that says that certain decking is significantly cooler, even up to 30% cooler. I tested it and didn't find the same results because I used the sun as a heat source and they use a heat gun. In conclusion, a decking and railing retailer like No Maintenance Decks will listen to your decking needs and suggest solutions to your decking problem. Our decking consultants are trained to find the correct decking fit for you and your family and not make suggestions based on the price of the decking. We're just as happy to sell a lower cost decking as we are a higher cost decking. The decking landscape has evolved from higher price point products to much more affordable decking to compete against pressure treated and cedar decking. In some cases, the decking you desire is expensive, but that's a want and not a need. If you feel that you have received value from that purchase, then we did our job as decking consultants. Our desire is to steer you in the right direction and help you get your deck project done correctly the first time. At No Maintenance Decks, we want all our customers to receive value in their purchase. We know that plans change and there will be need to make adjustments to your order. It's also important to always check with your local building department for local codes and always read the installation guide for the product that you're using. I wish you luck in your deck project. We will always be there to answer any questions that you have. You can contact me directly at mike@nomaintenancedecks.com. Thanks for your time.